Well, hey, welcome to another week of Cambridge
Yes.
Inside Out. The one and only Cambridge Inside Out.
Yes, Judy Nathans.
Actually, it's not the one and only. I mean, we're just...
No, there was the original,
yeah, yeah,
and there
we're
was
just,
Suzanne
we're just
Seagat.
the sequel. We
Yeah.
are the sequel.
We are the sequel.
That's right. The sequel of the sequel.
The sequel of the sequel.
Right.
We're not a prequel. We're a sequel.
That's right.
We'd have to go back in time to be a prequel.
So
Anyway.
So today is October 30th.
And thank goodness there's no Red Sox game tonight.
Right, and tomorrow...
Started all last week ago.
I heard they're having a duck boat parade
Yes,
tomorrow in
11
honor
o'clock.
of Halloween, is it?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right?
11 to 2, and go on the website. Boston has I think it starts at Fenway, starts at Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Goes down that little whatever street that gets to Boylston, where it meets Boylston, and then it continues to Stanford Street. So
Right.
in front of City Hall Plaza, but there's no rally.
That's
So-
what they
so
said at the
it's
end.
just gonna
It's
stop.
just the parade,
Right.
and then when it ends, it
Yes.
just disappears.
It's not like
right?
Papelbon doing his
Right, they
dance
just-
on top of the duck boat.
Right, the driver of the duck boat
In
just
07.
puts the pedal
Yeah.
to the metal and takes off at 70.
wait.
See you later, folks.
2013, he was the closer, right, Papelbon?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Because I remember him. I
Yeah.
think I was
We should
down there
probably
then.
just sort of
Oh yes, right.
do this right here. You
This
know?
this is from
There you go.
the next day. Priceless. He didn't
It
get the
wasn't-
MVP.
I have to say,
What?
my admiration for Alex Cora and David Price is without bound
Yeah,
at this
and then we
point.
got one for the ages.
One for the ages.
And that outfield. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I mean, I'm so used to having followed baseball for I don't know what 60 years.
Sure.
There was all these sort of notions about rigid pitching rotations, and sure, there's a little bit of difference in the postseason where you bring in this starter.
Oh boy, there's a lot.
But this notion that every pitcher must have at least 3 days rest and must do this
No,
and that.
not when you get to
all
this
these,
point. Yeah.
but the rules were just
Yeah.
thrown
Thrown
out
out, yeah.
completely. The fact that
Yeah.
David Price
Yeah.
started Game 2.
Yeah.
Came on, pitched in Game 3 several
I know.
innings,
Yep.
was warming up and ready to go in
Yeah.
Game 4,
Right.
and then started Game
Exactly.
5
Yes, and won it.
and
Yep.
won it.
It's amazing.
I
He's
mean,
redeemed.
my admiration for David Price
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just beyond belief
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
But also for Alex Cora, because he
Yeah.
was pulling these
Yeah.
strings and doing kind of
Yeah.
unusual moves that were working out.
What about Nathan Eovaldi?
Nathan Eovaldi, wasn't that
I
fabulous?
couldn't watch. My daughter watched it all. 3:30 in the
I
morning.
made it to the 14th inning.
Really?
And then I bailed out.
Yeah, it's just amazing that
Yeah.
he kept them with no hit, no runs for 6.5 innings.
Yeah, right. It's just incredible.
So
Yeah.
he's a hero. There's
So-
so many heroes.
Right.
I mean,
so-
heroes, small H. I know.
Yeah.
It's baseball, but still.
But it was really a fabulous series, and
Yes,
and
it's great.
again, no flies on the Dodgers. They were good.
They were good. They weren't good enough.
We were.
Took them 18 innings to win a game.
I know. Yeah, when we couldn't win, right? So I think they were pretty well matched teams. I just
Yeah.
think that we really were
Complete.
overwhelmingly
Yeah.
great and complete this year.
Yep.
I always, you always have that fear that the best team of all goes into a short series of 5 games or 7 games, and then just luck of the draw, they get bounced out. It didn't happen, thankfully.
No, I mean, remember our first 2 World Series wins in this century, whatever, were sweeps.
Yeah,
Colorado and then St. Louis.
right,
And then we saw St. Louis 2013. I think we won it in 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but
right. But anyway,
Yeah.
it was
It was very exciting.
It was very exciting, and
I'm sorry
and-
it's over in a way, but
Yeah.
I'm not sorry.
right. But there is another sort of odd thing, which
Yeah.
is that how, after the 2004, we just couldn't believe it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody was excited and
Yeah.
and shocked.
Yeah.
At the end of the Yankee series, I think the World
That-
Series wasn't really the big
That
one.
was like it was like
We
a
just- it was
sleep
a-
through.
it
It
was
was
a-
that
it
Yankee
was a
series
dream walk there.
that was amazing.
It was amazing.
Extra inning games. Talk
Yeah.
about late games.
Yeah.
These
Oh,
was-
yeah.
Oh
And,
my God! Coming
breaking
back
the
after
curse, everything.
3-0. No
Yeah.
one's done that.
But the thing is
Yeah.
that in the subsequent championships, was
Oh.
it 2007? Was it 2000?
2007 was it the second World Series
Yeah.
we
Was it
won?
13? What was the
And
next one?
2013.
13, and then this
in
year.
between you had the Celtics in 08.
Right. I'm not going to say that we're getting used to this,
I know.
but
We-
at
we have
some
the
level,
most.
we're getting used to this.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not the best thing because
Yeah,
we're,
I know.
we're so, when you sort of have like an expectation you're supposed to be world champion.
Well, not to put a
Yeah.
damper on it, but I think we were the highest paid payrolls, the Dodgers and the well, the Yankees are up there, but
Yeah.
that's what I read.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Well, I mean, it's undeniable. That's
yeah,
a piece
money
of
does
it. Yeah.
help, but you know,
But we,
you can pay a lot for someone, they're not that good sometimes.
But
so,
as I was very heartened to hear the play-by-play announcers pointing out that Red Sox are also a very young team, so they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
You know, so it's like, well, that's pretty good.
Van attendee,
Yeah.
great. No, I just lovable.
I may
lovable
just have
Sox.
to get that cable TV subscription
So that
next
you can
year
see them in
just
the
to
regular
watch some
season.
ball games
That's
next
right.
year.
I think you
Wouldn't
should.
that be great?
Yeah. Or YouTube TV. Apparently, you can pay for that.
Boy, wouldn't they were advertising that like mad.
You can
during
do
the
that. You
series.
can be a cordless
Yeah,
person.
I suppose.
Although here we are at CCTV, which does get money from the cable company.
I know.
We should get cable
I know.
TV.
Should get cable TV.
But anyway.
Anyway,
so.
I will consider it.
Okay.
I will consider it.
All right.
All right, so let's see. So what's happening here
So
on the
there was a
civic front?
city council meeting last night.
So we had a city council meeting last night.
Which I thought would be much longer because there were 19 policy orders, a bunch of city manager items, but
Right.
it was
Yeah,
over
but I don't think that there were any
nothing
really
too
controversial
no.
things. You know, of course, you know,
Yeah.
it was always a rule I had about it, which is that short agendas with nothing controversial always had
They
the,
end up being longer.
well, sometimes you have the
Yeah.
risk because,
Oh.
well, first off, they stretch, right? You know, like,
Yeah.
pad it out. Wait, we got a
Yeah.
half hour to finish.
Right,
Let's
yeah,
do it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the other thing too is that if you don't have something substantial to argue over, they will sometimes choose something really petty
Yeah.
to argue over, and those arguments go on longer.
Well, you know what went on really long last night was the parking in the driveway one. That was
Yeah,
city man- well, I don't know.
Which I don't know why people get so worked up about that.
Well, it was
then again,
Toomey that got worked
if I had
up
a
about.
driveway, maybe I'd care.
No, well, it was more something about having signs, and if you didn't have signs, and I don't know. It just
Yeah,
seemed like
some-
common sense.
well, if you-
they only respond to complaints, and if
Right.
you actually,
But what
I
made
don't
that
know.
sort of problematic was
Yeah.
that the law basically says
Right.
you're not supposed to park in front of driveways.
Period, right.
But the practice is the city is not going to come down on you for parking in front of your own
unless
driveway
somebody complains.
unless it's complaint
Right.
driven. Right? So I
Right.
said, well, that's kind of good. I like that. I feel
Right,
like-
because no, if you live there and you have someone you know that parked there, you're not going to complain.
Yeah, I always think of Ken Reeves when we talk about this because there was a time when people were talking about, well, we need to jack up the cost of the meters. We have to do this, and we have to do that, and we have to crack down on this and that. And Ken would get up there and say, this isn't the city I want to live in. I want to live
yeah.
in a kind and friendly city that
Yeah.
that allows things and
Yeah.
forgives a little bit
Yeah,
and
okay.
whatever. And
That's
I kind of
interesting.
agree with him. And
Yeah,
so for example, on Inman Street in front of St. Mary's, when on Sunday it clearly says no parking, no standing. On
On
Sunday,
Sunday, they let it go.
they let it go.
Right.
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 There's other places where that happens
True.
as well, and I think that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And so if you park in front of your own driveway because you have one too many guests or something,
Right,
they go,
and you're trying to
it's
save,
okay,
not
let it
take
go."
up a space for other people. That was the argument.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if
yeah.
you start getting obnoxious, I suppose they could start enforcing the law. But
Yeah.
I kind of like selective enforcement.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
a good
yeah.
thing.
Okay.
And and honestly, I would extend it to a lot of other places that a lot of the other intolerant people would not do. Like for example, as I pointed out, if you're driving that big truck full of steel and you have to pull out to let traffic go by, and you temporarily are in a bike lane, I kind of think
Yeah.
maybe we ought to be okay with that a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's hard to. I don't know how
But
people
the
get things done
dilettantes
around
come
here
out.
with the trucks. I mean, deliveries. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there's a problem there.
Life in the big city.
I mean,
right?
if you want the goods delivered, if you want stuff
Yeah.
delivered, they have to use trucks.
Yeah, and
I
it's
don't know.
great to have laws, and we like having laws. But the
Yeah.
thing is that you also have to be able to bend a little and acknowledge a little bit of gray area, based on people being reasonable. It's a concept.
So what else
reasonable.
struck your fancy there? I noticed on
All right,
your-
so one
okay,
thing I
let's
got
go
a
through
kick
there.
out of, so
yeah.
I always do my sort of snarky comments, which I
Oh, is
do.
this about the $67,000?
Yeah, listen, in the end, it's totally reasonable. But okay, so EverSource, they screwed up
Yeah.
over on Gore Street.
Is that what happened?
And I think
They
they
killed the
damaged the
tree.
roots of a stately old oak tree,
Right.
pin oak tree, on Gore Street, which then had to be subsequently removed. And it was pretty traumatic for a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
to lose it. But then, they said, well, all right, so you screwed up. How are you going to compensate for this? So they brought in an appraiser, and they appraised the tree.
Well,
and-
it's not the total is 67,000,
Right,
but I think
exactly.
it's broken
it's
down.
About,
But still,
It's about $61,000 appraisal for the tree. And I thought, well, maybe that's accurate. I don't know.
but that's including putting it in and all. Because I've heard of
No,
a
no, no, no.
full-grown tree is 20,000. No,
Well, but the thing is not a full size tree.
Oh, well, the ones that Harvard put in that new plaza?
It's probably like that, but the thing is, this is all bigger, I think.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, it's on the order of about 60 grand for doing this. The appraisers seem to have been rather well paid too, I might add. Hey, I should change professions.
You saw the breakdown in the figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of. Yeah.
Right. But I thought, my gosh, is this going to become a topic of like a talking point? Because there's another order here, saying, well, we got to step it up and schedule a hearing of to talk about a tree ordinance, so to regulate trees on private property.
Right.
Which I think has merit. I think
to some extent.
there's right ways and wrong ways to do this.
But if you have a rotten tree, you should be able to take it down without.
Right, and you don't want to have to be, if you're like the person on the street that has a neighbor or somebody who is a political opponent who decides to sort of like go to a hearing to sort of bust your chops.
Yeah, that's true. That could happen.
So it's I mean, who has standing in this is going to be an issue to me. But will we now have a discussion come next spring when or in December when they start talking about possible tree ordinances where they say, well, sir, apparently by removing that tree in your yard, you realize that thing's worth about $70,000. So you should compensate the city for the loss of canopy to the, listen.
I see where you're taking that.
Listen,
wow.
I wouldn't put it past them. Now that you put a number to a 40-inch caliper tree is 67 grand. I mean, where is this going to go, right?
Wow.
So anyway, it was interesting. I got a kick out of it. Of course, the thing that made it funny, and I think maybe Quentin Zondervan may have read my snarky comments because I had said, I just want to know, because the amount was $67,179.02. I said, why the 2 cents?
Yeah, who puts 2 cents? You round it off.
Anyway, Quentin folled up with that.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
And I think Kathy Watkins, city engineer, said, well, maybe in retrospect we could have rounded it off.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was all right. Probably.
So what got charter right? Oh, the charter right was from last week, right? About the.
Yeah. So there were two things that were made subject to the charter right. 2 weeks ago, actually.
Right.
One had to do with that overlay proposal, which Jan Devereaux exercised her charter right, brought it on. It was about just scheduling, asking
the
for
affordable
a
housing. That was
timeline.
charter right too. They have asking just for the timeline, which
So they did. They voted it.
They still were against it. Her and Zondervan.
6-2-1. So it was Jan Devereaux and Quentin Zondervan voted against even asking for the timeline
which wouldn't have even. I didn't get that. That just seemed like.
Well, I think it's what they're doing is they were signaling the fact that they have some real serious reservations with this.
As it is.
And in spite of what the mayor said about, no, this is just asking for a timeline. I said, I'm sorry, that's crap, because the truth is that nobody, we've had a lot of zoning ordinance changes over the years. Nobody asks, give us a timeline for what we exactly have to do and when in order to do the implementation. You only do that when, in fact, you are just basically trying to plot out the strategy to make sure it goes through.
So you think it was actually,
I think
you understand why they,
I
did
think, pass,
though.
Yeah. But it's not an action item in any serious way. It just says, do you have to do this by December and then this by January and do this by that or whatever, right?
Doesn't mean it's going to happen.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen.
And then the one was about the ordinance for trees, or what happened to that one? Did that get? I think that got agreed.
I think there were two.
One, right here.
Right. Yeah. So that'll proceed. I think there are people. I think it might have been Denise Simmons who raised issues about that in the previous meeting. About well, that's not even a proposed tree ordinance at this point. It's just a potential tree ordinance, and it does exist in other cities. So it's not an outrageously weird idea, but it does get us close to that sort of friction line having to do with property rights and. By the way, there was one thing that I heard from a neighbor, my neighbor Helen, who pointed out there was it's actually when Jim Browdy was a city councilor. So
years ago.
Man, time flies.
Yeah.
So back then, which was like 18 years ago, there was a big controversy. Speaking of trees, because there was a tulip tree on Cambridge Street, very close to Fayette Street, where a person, Rachel Faith, I think was her name. Chained herself to the tree,
dear.
and there was dentist's or a dental, I don't know, whatever. It was an office right next door.
Yeah.
They wanted to get rid of the tree because it was, as it had grown, it had sort of cut into the width of the driveway.
Okay.
So she just wanted it gone. But the thing is the tree was centrally rooted at the neighboring property. So apparently the neighbor tried to like whack at it or drive copper nails into it to
Ooh.
do it harm. Or else would want to just have it removed. And it turned into a huge controversy. City
Huh.
councilors were going
I
over
don't
there.
remember that.
I forget exactly what kind of votes. But anyway, the tree stayed and stayed and stayed. Well, I think maybe this past week, I haven't seen it yet, but apparently, tree's gone.
Wait, just this past week?
I believe so.
Was
I
it
don't-
dead?
Yeah. It wasn't dead, but the thing is that, and Helen actually said that he
Yeah.
was invited to sort of step inside it. It was all completely hollowed out.
Oh.
It had become diseased internally,
Sounds
so away
dead
it
to
goes.
me.
Yeah.
Or sounds beyond its prime.
Right. Well, it's actually, speaking of trees is sort of the big political topic of this year now, officially,
Well,
right?
that and
That and overlays, right?
overlays.
Yeah. So.
Bicycles, what do you,
Uh,
well, that
Oh,
was more
yeah,
big,
well, that was
but
more
yeah.
last year.
True.
But
Well,
it'll be back because
it'll
there's
be back.
zealots. But the thing is that there was another related matter where they were doing some aerial views and showing how the tree canopy of the city has been declining some.
Right.
And people say, well, that's because evil people are coming in cutting down trees, and that's to some degree maybe so, but also most of the trees that have been lost have been on residential properties, and as Owen O'Riordan, Commissioner of Public Works, pointed out, a lot of them were just what he says is aging out. So the thing is if there was a great growth of trees back when a lot of residential development happened within the past century, many of those trees, the older trees especially, the one with a lot of foliage, are also 80 and 90 years old.
Is that
And
the lifespan of a tree?
depends on the tree,
And I guess in a city, it might have a hard time surviving.
There was an interesting thing, and I wouldn't read too much into this, but on Fayette Street near my house, there was 1 year or 2 year period where it seemed like every month or two, another tree just came down and knocked out all the electric lines.
Wow.
One after another, and
So that
there were
they-
two big ones
yeah.
were right in front of the same house, and I think it's just that they both as Owen says, they aged out. It wasn't because of gas, natural gas leaks
Some
that were
people
killing
will
the
say that,
roots.
though. How do you know it wasn't?
I don't think it was. I just think there would have been a little bit of evidence about that. I think it was
Well, if you look
some,
for it, I don't
some
know.
rot and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
Yeah.
another thing that happened is that for the longest time, the city had brick sidewalks that were pretty porous because it was just basically bricks laid in sand and just tapped together. And then ADA requirements required putting in an underlay that was rigid and basically non-permeable. And then the bricks would lay onto a firm foundation. It also cut off the ability to water to infiltrate in to support a lot of street trees. So I think there's been a measurable decline in some of the street trees, and also a greater difficulty of new street trees to even get established because of this.
Well, I know, because there's always a complaint about that. You plant all these trees, but then no one's watering, or they die. Or, so I don't know what the story is
you're in
on
kind
that.
of an unsustainable
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
See, I told you this is the year of trees. Right? It's an unsustainable situation where now what they're saying is, okay, if you plant a street tree, in the strip between sidewalk and street, because everything is so sealed up, it almost becomes
right.
necessary for human intervention
To
to
keep
get
water
water in there.
yeah, right.
They don't simply get naturally
Right,
watered
because
when
it's
it
all
rains.
paved. Yeah.
Right, water scoots away
Yeah,
after a
yeah.
rain, it doesn't get retained. So I think the city really does have to come up with a pretty substantial new policy for how they design streets so that rain does get a chance to
But
infiltrate.
also, aren't there certain kinds of trees that can survive better with
Yes.
less water?
Yeah, so you'll have to
So
basically
maybe
make
they're
them
already
decisions.
doing that. I don't know.
I think they are. The
Yeah.
arborist is no fool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in the choice of street trees in
Mm-hmm.
particular locations, they're being very mindful of the conditions.
Right.
And so it goes. But I have to say, I'm not alarmed by the loss of canopy because, these things can be renewed. I just think we have to be thoughtful about why
Yes.
and what the causes are. And if
Yeah.
it turns out it's just aging out, let's just start planting some
Yeah.
new trees,
Yeah.
and do it the right way.
Yeah.
So,
Dog parks.
Dog parks,
That
okay.
that came up. That was an order by, I guess, Councilor Mallon.
Yeah, and by the way, I've known
lived in
people
that
who have run
area.
as city council candidates in the past
Yeah.
who basically got the
That was
list of
their-
everybody who got a dog license because they felt it was a strong political constituency to work.
Oh my gosh.
So it happened. People know that, you know.
Yeah, I guess you go where
You-
the votes are, huh?
Well, you know, it's like farming, you know. You sort of go, you
guess.
survey the fields and say,
Yeah, okay.
what crops shall we plant here?
I don't know.
Um,
All right,
You
so
know,
that.
so I think it was
it
Alana
was-
Mallon and Sybil Siddiqui had suggested that there's a little piece of the library
It
park.
was the mid-Cambridge, it was, right, of the library park.
Yeah.
And where they're already using it, sort of not, you know.
Yeah, there's kind of an area that's not as well utilized. It's kind of behind where the playground area is.
Right, but the
Over
argument.
the garage.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
where they want
Yeah,
it?
it's
Near the
over
playground?
I think that's right. So
Why
over
would
the
you want it
underground
near the
garage.
playground?
Because
that's
it's over
closer
the
to the
underground
kids.
garage, and the thing is, it's not a place because there are no trees over there because they can't.
But it's
you
a
can't
small
be.
space, isn't it?
It's actually not that small.
All right, I'm
They actually have
confused
a
because I
few-
heard that and I thought,
Yeah, and it's actually essentially enclosed or virtually enclosed. So
well, they'd have to do more enclosure.
yeah,
if they did it.
right. So, but the thing is, it's sort of there. And if that's a somewhat underutilized part of the park, then maybe it's a good idea, maybe not. I think it offended a few people because apparently notification about the idea was not made to an existing committee that's.
Yeah, something about, and then
Sarah
the
Mae
clerk
Burney asked
said
about
that,
that.
oh yeah, the community development said, well, we get this list of who to notify, and the
Yeah.
Cambridge neighborhood wasn't
Right, I
on the
think
list, but
Somebody
it's
was
smack
saying,
right
like,
in the middle,
right,
yeah.
they
how could-
contacted some neighborhood groups
Yeah.
in the port, which is nowhere near the park.
Yeah,
and
somehow,
apparently
so,
not the
so
Cambridge
that, I
group.
think that got charter righted, so
Yes,
that they
yeah.
can,
So they'll be
go
back
back
on
to
that.
and say, why isn't that, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it was a new person working in the clerk's office. May have
Right,
may
she-
have flubbed
she
it a
was
little
there,
bit,
yeah.
but you know, hey, we all.
Well,
flub
they
it when we
say
start
it
out.
came from community development, who they tell them to
Yeah.
send it out, so could
Yeah.
have, passing the buck, whatever.
Now, another thing that was on the agenda was something that I have kind of mixed feelings about. We have right now. If you haven't voted yet,
Early
you can
voting.
do early voting
Yeah,
for
I haven't
the
done it
state
yet.
election.
Have you?
I don't do early voting myself.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I was tempted, but I think
Yeah.
to me, I'm so into the ritual of going on election day
too,
because it's right
yeah.
down the street from my house.
That's right.
So
yeah.
I just, on election morning, I wait
Yeah.
till the crowds are gone, and
They have a bake sale too at the Morse, I think, so. I
yeah,
wonder-
we don't have that. We're
No,
in
you don't, you're
mid-Cambridge.
election commission,
Yeah,
so,
we're not,
yeah.
I mean, Cambridge isn't nearly as much fun as Cambridge.
Well, you
Park.
don't, it's not a school, you go to the election commission, don't you? Where do
No,
you go to the
actually,
school?
I go to the City Hall Annex,
Well, that's the
Where-
city, right. They're not
where
gonna
where
do
there are
bake
people
sales.
already lining, or actually not quite yet,
Yeah.
but they will soon be lining up to get their resident stickers. in
Oh,
in
that is
annual
so
crazy
crazy,
ritual.
crazy.
Right, but it gets
Anyway.
most fun come January.
Oh,
when
yeah, that's
the
when they line
latecomers
up,
come.
yeah.
But anyway, so I'm going to vote on election day. But the thing is, it's happening now. This is the second week of early voting. All right, so because of that, I guess this isn't the first time the
No,
idea's
it's
been
been brought
floated.
up a lot,
But
yeah.
they came in and said, well, why don't we do that for the municipal elections? And I said, well, first off, as much as you would love to have the voter turnout be like 60,000 people in municipal elections, it's just not true. It's closer, it said like in the 20s, right?
Well, it was high last
It
time.
was higher, but the thing is,
Yeah.
even with the increase in voter turnout in the municipal election last year, it's still relatively small compared to state
Still have-
elections and
yeah,
certainly compared
right.
to presidential elections.
Sure, yeah.
So it's not like there's long lines for municipal elections. I don't think I've ever seen a long line or even much of a
Well,
line
it's
at
not
all.
so much the line issue, it's only that one day you can do it
It's
issue.
only that one day, but it's not really.
You can do
You
absentee.
can do absentee,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, so I think it's sort of a little bit of feel-goodism here of let's do this for municipal elections because, after all, anybody who would even raise any objections must obviously not believe in democracy. No, come on, let's get serious.
But it does require a home rule petition.
Right. The thing is there's no provision under state law to do this, and that was what the first ask came back with. Was said, well, the city solicitor says, well, you can't do it
Oh, that's
only because
right.
there's no
Okay.
provision under state
Yeah.
law to allow it. But if you file the home rule petition, maybe you
Yeah.
could do it. Right. Now, one thing that was actually Jan Devereaux clarified,
Yeah.
and I was grateful for. She said that the home rule petition they're asking for would give city Cambridge, but she's also doing it in conjunction with City of Boston.
Yeah, Zakem and the Boston City Council
right.
also are, they said if they do it together, it might be more forceful.
Get a better
Yeah.
rise out of this legislature. But the thing is that it would not dictate the 10 days of early voting that we have. It would basically go back to the election commission, give
And
them
then they
the
would
power
determine
to
it?
do it.
Oh.
And then if they wanted to do 10 days, in 5 locations, they could do it.
What if they
If
wanted
they-
to just do
if they wanted to do-
a week ahead in 4 locations?
They could do that.
Yeah.
Or they could
So
just
it
have
leaves
2
it up to
locations.
it just gives
Yeah.
them the right to change it.
Yeah, when I heard that, I
Yeah.
thought, all right, that's not
Yeah.
so bad. I mean,
No,
that's
I
sort of
agree.
like a compromise between absentee voting, which you can do now.
Yeah.
I like the idea of having kind of no questions asked absentee voting. I mean, you don't have to have an excuse. You just say, I
Is
want to
that
do
the
it.
way it is now?
I think it is.
I think you can just go in
Yeah,
as soon
it
as the
didn't used to
ballot's
be.
available. Right, you're
Yeah,
right.
it didn't used to be.
So there's,
You have to say, no, I have to be out of town, and
Right.
I'll swear on a stack of Bibles
yeah.
I'm out of town.
And it's not that
Not
hard to
anymore.
get to the election commission.
Right.
It's right in the middle
So
of
this,
town.
I
Yeah.
just think that the proposal's a little bit of a, it's just sort of compromise between expanded absentee voting and something else. But
Doesn't hurt to ask, I
doesn't
guess.
hurt to ask. I mean, if the cost runs up substantially,
Yeah,
then I
'cause,
will have questions
again,
about
yeah,
it.
bring that up, because the state now
The
pays,
state reimburses for it because it was a state mandate.
is it
to-
100%
To
reimbursement?
say you have to do it. I think it is. Yeah.
All right, where in municipal, it's us.
It's all on us,
Yeah, so-
and people say, well, there's no cost to issue at all. This is democracy.
Well, some
How
people
can
would
you
say the
possibly
election
object?
commission can afford it.
Come on.
I don't know.
No, I mean, you
I have no idea.
You do things efficiently. I think that's the
Yeah.
main thing. Anyway, I don't
Okay.
think it was. I think it breezed through. I don't. And it was
I
one
think it was-
question from Craig Kelly about.
Yeah.
Because if there are 34 precincts, if you don't have 34 early polling
Oh,
locations,
right.
maybe that'll give a bias, right?
Oh, gosh, I didn't think of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and it's actually something worth considering.
Yeah,
So.
all right, we'll see where
All
it
right.
goes.
So anyway, we've got
See
to
you in
take a
the
break
next segment.
here as we take a
Wind
hike
down.
and celebrate the Red Sox.
Okay.